I knew something was wrong the second the lights dipped that evening. It wasn't much, just a shiver through the bulbs like the house had taken a shallow breath. But after 30 years living on this ranch, you learn to pay attention to little things like that. I was sitting in my leather chair cleaning an old bridle when the lamp buzzed again and steadied. My wife Sarah came to the doorway, wiping her hands on a dish towel. She didn't say much, she never has to. One look between us was enough. I set down the rag, pulled on my boots, and went outside with a flashlight. The air was cool crickets, just starting up their nightly song. I walked the line from the house to the fence, following the buried conduit in the dirt, until I saw it a fresh trench. Narrow, messy, like someone tried to cover it up with a boot heel and called it good. It ran straight toward the fence line, straight toward the HOA common area, and past that Claire Stanton's property. Claire, the HOA president, who treated the neighborhood like her personal kingdom. The sight of that trench hit me like a fist in the gut. This wasn't some random power flicker. Someone had tapped into my electricity. I went back to the house, told Sarah to grab her phone, and we started filming everything. I locked the main breaker, padlocked the exterior outlets, logged the time on camera. Then I made 2 calls, the power company's theft line and the county sheriff's office. I wasn't about to storm over there shouting through the fence. I wanted this handled the right way, the legal way. 2 days later, a bright pink envelope was stuck under my truck's wiper. It was a violation notice, of course, printed on thick, fancy paper with the HOA logo smiling at me. It said I'd interfered with community utility infrastructure by locking my own breaker box. There was a $500 fine attached and a threat of $1,000 a day if I didn't remove the locks. And on the second page, a brand new emergency bylaw signed by Claire herself, declaring my home a utility support hub, required to share power with neighbors experiencing a deficit. I laughed out loud right there in the driveway. The deficit was of her own making. That afternoon, Claire pulled into my driveway with 2 board members in tow. She stepped out of her SUV in heels that didn't belong on a ranch, pasted on that HOA president's smile, and said, "Ben, we need to talk about your violations." "There are no violations," I told her, keeping my voice calm. "What there is a theft report filed with the sheriff and the power company." Her smile faltered just a crack before she snapped back. "You're being dramatic. This is for the good of the community. You have more than enough power. My home has sensitive equipment that can't lose power. Your floodlights aren't sensitive equipment." I cut in. "And the county calls this theft, not sharing." Her cheeks flushed. "If you don't comply, we will lien your property. Then you'd better get comfortable in court," I said, stepping forward just enough that she had to tilt her chin up. "Because I've got case numbers and video evidence, and I don't scare easy." Sarah filmed the entire exchange from the hallway, every word, every threat. That night we sent the footage to the utility investigator and Deputy Hayes at the sheriff's office. 2 mornings later, a white truck with the power company logo rolled up. Out stepped Dave, a field investigator built like a linebacker, clipboard in hand. I walked him to the fence line. He crouched, studied the trench, took pictures, measured it. "Yep," he said, standing up. "That's a tap, amateur job. Whoever did this was sloppy." He installed a digital monitor inside my meter box, one that tracked power draw second by second, even with my breaker off. "If anything pulls power off this line, we'll know instantly," he said. That evening, Deputy Hayes stopped by to take my official statement. "We can't dig up her property yet," he said, "but if that monitor shows a draw, that's probable cause for a warrant." Then he grinned. "And since she put this all in writing with her fancy emergency bylaw, we're going to schedule a public inspection. Right before the HOA board meeting. She won't be able to refuse." 3 nights passed in tense silence. We ran the house off of generator cameras, watching every corner. Then just after 2 in the morning, my phone buzzed a motion alert. I sat up, heart hammering, and pulled up the feed. There he was. Frank, the handyman Claire used for every odd job in the neighborhood, crouched at my meter box with a flashlight in his teeth and wire cutters in his hand. We watched as he clipped the official utility seal. The monitor's tamper light started flashing like a beacon. Frank froze, panicked, dropped a counterfeit seal he must have bought online, and bolted into the night. We had it all on video. I called Dave immediately. "He just cut your seal. We got it on camera." "I see the tamper alert," Dave said, fully awake now. "Email me the footage and copy the sheriff. This just went from theft to felony tampering." By Tuesday, the whole neighborhood had heard there'd be a public safety inspection. People started showing up early, gathering in my driveway with their arms crossed. Some were nervous, some just curious, but most were tired of Claire's reign. Dave arrived first, then Deputy Hayes, then a county electrical inspector in a crisp uniform with a sealed case of equipment. At 5 on the dot, Claire rolled up in her shiny SUV heels, clicking on my driveway, red blazer blazing like she was walking into a photo op. She smiled at the crowd, like she was the guest of honor. "Thank you all for coming to support this initiative," she said loudly. "Ben has finally agreed to cooperate." "I'm just here to follow the rules, Claire," I said, smiling back just enough to make her wonder. The inspector asked for my permission to open the main panel. "Go right ahead," I said. "I want everyone to see this." He unscrewed the cover and lifted it away, and there it was, the illegal tap, 2 thick black cables clamped onto the main lugs, bypassing every safety system, running straight into the ground toward Claire's property. The crowd gasped. Even someone who didn't know a breaker from a light switch could see it was wrong. "This," the inspector said, shining his flashlight on the cables, "is a dangerous, illegal tap. It's a felony theft of service and a fire hazard." Dave stepped forward. Our monitor recorded a power draw for 24 hours after installation, while Mr. Ross's breaker was off. Then it logged a tamper event at 2:13 a.m. yesterday morning, when someone cut the seal. The crowd turned to look at Claire. Her smile was gone, her face pale. "I have no idea what that is," she stammered. "Ben must have done this himself, ma'am," the inspector said. "Ignoring her for the safety of this grid, I am ordering immediate disconnection of the property this line leads to." Dave and the deputy walked next door, gloved up, and through the external disconnect. Claire's house went black. Dave removed her meter entirely, locked the socket with a red-tagged plate. The crowd erupted in whispers. Claire finally broke, shrieking. "You can't do this. I'm the HOA president right now." Deputy Hayes said, calm as stone, "You're a felony suspect." And that was it. The queen had been dethroned. Sarah walked to the truck, dropped the tailgate, and held up a clipboard. "All right, folks," she said, voice carrying over the lawn. "The law will handle the criminal part, but the bylaws say we can handle the rest. Petition to recall the HOA. President need 25% of signatures, Mrs. Gilbert." Our 80-year-old neighbor who Claire fined for her wrong shade of white. Dor stepped up first and signed with a shaking hand. Then Mike, the quiet accountant from down the road. Then a young family with kids. Soon there was a line. Claire just stood there, pale and silent, before finally turning, climbing into her SUV, and driving away. No one waved. By the end of the week, the petition had more than half the neighborhood's signatures. The board voided every fine, rewrote the emergency powers, and sent me a formal letter of apology. HOA insurance paid for every cent of stolen electricity, the trench repair, the panel work. A month later, Claire's house went up for sale. I still sit on my porch most evenings. The lights don't flicker anymore. The new sod has taken root. The scar in my yard is gone. And across the fence, that house sits dark, waiting for someone new. The neighborhood feels different now, lighter, freer. People wave more, talk more. Mike's wife put her bird feeder back up. No one's been fined for it. Justice, real justice, isn't loud. It's patient. It's a chain of evidence, a calm voice on the phone, a clean case handed to the right people. Claire thought power came from a title and a stack of violation letters. Turns out power is a man and his wife who refused to be bullied, a community willing to stand together, and a county inspector with the guts to call things what they are. What do you think was shutting off her house and recalling her the right move, or was it too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share your own HOA horror stories, and let's talk about what real justice should look like when neighbors cross the line.